Welcome to the Class Business Podcast. I'm Kristine, Monaghan, your host, and today we are joined by Dominic Fenton. Dominic is a passionate advocate for helping young people thrive through sport, education, and community engagement. He works closely with schools, clubs, and organisations to create opportunities that make a lasting impact. And he's also a strong voice for mental health awareness, speaking at events and conferences across the UK and beyond. I'm delighted to say that Dominic is one of our judges for the Class Business Awards, and I can't wait to dive into this conversation with him today. Dominic, it's absolutely amazing to have you with us today. For everyone who is listening online or watching us over on YouTube, please tell everyone who you are, what do you do, and where do you do it?
Hi, thank you. It's great to be here. So my name's Dominic Fenton. My business is called The Activity Connector. I'm generally a sports consultant. So I work with charities, I work with sports groups, I work with community groups. I basically support groups getting into schools, but I also work for a national charity running sports events for SEND children all over the UK. And I also have mentors going into secondary schools, supporting young people who are either struggling at school, who aren't coming into school, but we put mentors into schools as well. I'm based in Essex, but to be fair, I work out of Wales, I work out of most of England, and also do a little bit of work in Northern Ireland.
Cool. Well, obviously, I'm going to love this conversation because sports was my original background. And so, yeah, love it when we can get into the sports side of things. So were you sporty as a young person? Like, where's that passion come from?
I played rugby since I was 5. I'm now 50, so I turned 50 a week ago. And sport has always been my thing, and it's the reason I'm still here. I do a lot of work around sort of mental health and stuff as well, but it's rugby predominantly that's got me to what I do now. So,
I've got a pretty similar journey. I turned 50 last year, so I'm in the 51. But I started sport at the age of 9. I was into athletics. I used to love running. And then I joined my local club at the age of 11 and was there for a very long period of time. And it just becomes part of your family, and was such a benefit to me as a young person growing up, a disadvantaged area, all of that. So that was my mechanism to basically probably stay on the straight and narrow. And then I was fortunate enough that I went to go and work for the governing body of sport for a long period of time in athletics. So I really get the power of sport, and I obviously get it completely in how it can help young people and children as a whole. So now do you work in is it different sports? Who do you mainly work with?
I coach from the age of 18 to 44, all at the same club. And then I had to stop that just because it got too busy. Obviously, volunteering for that amount of time certainly has its toll. Generally now, so with the charity Penathlon, who I'm sort of a regional manager for at the moment, we cover 5 or 6 different sports, but also sort of multi-skills activities. We do swimming galas, we do cricket events, we do football events, we do 10-pin bowling. So I was at a 10-pin bowling event this morning. But then also I tend to, because of now the network that I've got, rugby's still a part of it, but there's a lot of other sports that now come into it. I go around doing some public speaking around men's mental health and things like that. So I've got lots of irons in lots of fires, and predominantly really to go where the need is. Because again, the business journey's changed over the last 6 years, and actually there's more and more things that come into it. And I think a lot of it, you just get to that point and go, okay, well, where can I make the biggest impact? And that's predominantly for me where I can make the biggest impact, whether that's children's sport, adult sport, whether that's men's mental health, because I do a lot of work around that, whether it's about young people just having support in school, because I never had that. So and the journey really starts when I was bullied at school. I was suicidal at 14, but it was the rugby that kept me going. And I see this so often now, the journey of young people going, well, actually, if it wasn't for, it could be the athletics club, it could be the rugby, it could be a football club. You know, my daughters play football, so I'm now a football parent, but actually, providing they've got the right people around them and it's done in the right way, for me, it doesn't matter. I think every child needs to find what their hobby is or their outlet is. So whether it's football, whether it's rugby, whether it's athletics, cricket, goal, it doesn't matter what it is. It's about those people around you supporting each other. And sure. you never know where it goes.
And is it mainly primary schools or secondary schools or special schools, or whole mix?
Whole mix. So the mentoring we do is secondary school. The SEND, ALM work that we do is primary, secondary and special schools. The mental health is more adults. So again, I'll run conferences and work on those. So, you know, you'd like to think you support as many people as you can, but it is almost a range from 4 years old up to probably 70s, 80s in terms of what we've done in the past.
And do you have a team that works in the schools, or is it you working with school teachers also?
Bit of both. So depending on what part of the business, because so with Penathlon, I'm self-employed, so it still comes under my business, but I work on behalf of them. We have about a team of about 15 staff around the UK that will go in and run events. The mentoring, I've got two staff in schools at the moment, but again, I bring them in as self-employed, and they'll go and do the work. We'll then go and support schools. So again, we're working with teachers. I'd love to be able to copy about 10 of me, because then I might actually have a bit of time to actually delve a little bit more into what we want to do. But at the moment, it tends to be, let's go, right, we'll work on a project. If I need to bring someone in to do it. And again, because of the connections, because of my network, I'm able to bring other people in a lot of the time, because fundamentally, probably 95% of my work at the moment is with Penathlon. So a lot of this other stuff I'm doing around that, but using other people to make that difference for me.
Oh, for sure. And just because I know my audience, a lot of them look to work in schools or gain work in schools. What tips and advice would you give them around how they approach a school? Or
probably, and I think you've probably heard this before, and they always talk about the gatekeeper. And it's the gatekeeper is generally the office, certainly in a primary school. Because there'll be less staff within the school, you'll have that gatekeeper. I'm working with another charity at the moment on another project. And I've said, right, well, we had a conversation about this yesterday. If you're contacting schools, what it's important to do is use other people you know who can promote you. Because actually, people rely on people they can trust. So as much as I work with lots of schools, I'm fortunate the name that people know that if I send something in, generally they can trust it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing what they do. So when you're going to send something in, even work in partnership with someone else who the school know already, and they can help you move in. If you're going to send a blanket email, and generally they'll go to admin emails or office emails, you need to make sure you're on the phone the next day, because with all the best will in the world and the amount of emails schools get, actually the likelihood it's going to end up in the bin. So actually give them a phone call. Say, look, hi, I just want to make sure I sent you an email yesterday. can you tell me you've got it, and can you let me know this is a really great opportunity? Can it go to the head teacher? Can it go to the Senko? Can it go to the PE lead? Whoever that needs to be. But it's always on that follow up. My part of my background, I used to work for an academy trust. So again, I'd always support organisations saying, well, actually, if you look at academy trusts, if you're in a local area, go and look at which academy trusts are local to you. If you work with one of them and it works and you're in with them, head teachers talk all the time. PEs talk across those trusts. So if you're in one, you can get that school to promote you to the other schools within the trust, whether they're a small trust, whether they're one of the larger national trusts. Then actually just get them to support you on that, because again, it is all about reputation. It's about trust. I think that follow up and that communication. Once your footing's in the door, generally that's down to you then. Make sure it happens and make sure it works. But the hardest bit is normally getting your foot in the door.
I've had other conversations with people, and they were saying about building relationships with the schools, and instead of just being, trying to just do one way, look at different ways that you can do it.
And there's lots of ways now you can work with schools, and also depending on what you're doing, work with, as I say, build a relationship, build partnership with other groups that work with schools. So within the PE and Sport network, you've got the school games organisers in every area. They have contact straight into schools. There's nothing to stop you going to them. If you know where they are, go to them, talk to them, because again, they'll put on events for their schools anyway. So you could always come along to one of their events, depending on what you're doing. But there'll be other networks around where you can speak to them and go, look, can we, this is what I want to do. Is there a way that we can work together and support each other to move forward? And I think the more you can work with other people, the better.
Okay.
It may be your product, but actually the more you can work in partnership, because actually there's enough schools for everyone. What frustrates me with the sector is where you'll know for a fact that even if I've always been very much, I won't, if I know a certain group's in the school, if I know a company's in the school and they're doing what I do or what I did in previous roles, I'm not going to try and undercut them. I'm not going to try and. So actually, I'll respect you enough to be in there. But actually, if the head teacher or a member of that staff calls me, then I'll have a conversation. I'm not going to suddenly go, well, I know you've got them, but we can do it better. Because actually, that doesn't look great for you.
Yeah.
But again, I think it all depends on how driven you are and what you want to do. If it's about making money, which we all have to be making money, but there's a way to do it.
For sure.
I'm very much a believer that actually you can work in collaboration with people, and it's much more powerful.
For sure. And then talk us through your mentors.
So we've got, again, these are contacts that I know who've worked for me previously. And all we do, we go into secondary schools and we may work with a group of 10 to 12, 14 young people that maybe, so one of the schools they've struggled with attendance. So we put a mentor in who works them once a week. And basically they're someone else that the kids can talk to, because actually not always, with the best will in the world, not every child wants to talk to a teacher. It's a different relationship you have with staff. But again, it's that bit of you going in and going, right, let's look at what's happening. Why are there other reasons why you're not coming in? And then we work with those young people to bring them in more. And again, a lot of the time staff don't have this time to do this in schools. So actually we can be an added person that goes in. And again, if they like sports, so one of my mentors is in the sports world anyway. So he'll go in and he'll run some sports sessions with them. And again, it's just because they know it's for them as well, and because they know how they're being treated. What you're then hoping is that the attendance improves. It might be a behaviour issue at school. It might be their behaviour is not great. well, actually, let's look at that. What's happening? Okay, are the teachers listening? Do you feel comfortable talking to the staff? If you don't, we'll talk to us. We can then look at what we do. We can pass some of these messages on to the staff to go, actually, this is why that child's struggling. This is what's happening at home. This is what's happening. And we can look at improving that system, but also then supporting the child coming in more.
And was that something that Kate, did a school come to you saying they had this issue, or you spotted a gap and was like, we can help with this?
Bit of both, because I've done it before. So even when I was part of an academy trust, I used to work with kids that have been bullied at school.
Right.
And as much as they go, oh, you don't know how I'm feeling, I can actually go, well, no, I do, because I was you, yes, a long time ago. But actually, fundamentally, those things haven't changed. So I could understand where they were coming from. And actually, they felt worthy because they had someone who could listen to them. Not to say, again, teachers they've got such a hard job. And generally, when there's an issue, it gets thrown at schools. But it must be a behaviour issue. Okay, well, the schools can deal with it rather than what happens outside of schools. So they have enough on their plate. Because I've done it before, I've done it probably 3 or 4 times in the last 3-4 years. And because I was also working with the trust on some other stuff, actually the CEO came to me and went, can we do this? Yeah, that's fine. We put the program in. It's now been running just over 2 years now. We've had about 70 of their young people come through.
That's amazing. And has it had a big, is it been a big transformation?
It's worked in terms of them actually enjoying school, wanting to come into school. So, and actually, obviously the add-on effect to that for the schools is their attendance figures are going up, their behaviour the behaviour issues are going down. So actually, and again, we work with them. So, the schools will identify the young people. I've actually had to put another mentor into that school as well, so there's more going on. But it's just something that we've sort of restarted. So it's been great over these 2 years. And again, we've got a conversation in the next couple of weeks whether they want to continue it next year. But also, I'm having other schools now come to me and go in, or we're interested in that side of it, because really, young people need role models. And without them, not every teacher is going to be a role model to these young people. However best they try, they're in a different position. So actually, if we can come in and say, look, this is what we can do. I wish, part of the reason I set it up was I wish that I had that when I was younger. So I'm almost supporting the child that I was 35 years ago.
And I think that's the power of sport as well. If they're from that background, and they can relate more, can't they, to people who are in that world, or just being a role model in terms of sport. And that's the benefit of sports. That's why I'm always been a big champion of it. It's just not the physical activity, it's everything else that comes with it.
Yeah, and I think that's it. And I think actually when we're in a population where actually there's an awful lot that didn't, when you say PE at school, they didn't like it.
No, exactly.
So actually it moves them away from, and that then fear then sometimes goes on to their children. So when their kids are going through, when I didn't enjoy PE, so you're not going to, and these sort of things. And I think actually, for me, PE was probably the only, looking back, probably that and sort of performing art were the only things I enjoyed. Wasn't massively academic, but what I've been able to do is now have a career in something I absolutely adore. The work we do doesn't feel like work. I don't have a fear of waking up in the morning going, I don't want to go into work. When the alarm goes off, we're ready for the next day. And as I say, I do a lot of travel around the country. So I tend to be around the country a lot. So normally these sort of podcasts, I'm normally in a coffee shop in Wales or Cyprus. I'm in North Wales in 2 weeks' time for a week. So
but I think it's such a vital conversation, because I feel like when kids are at primary school, I think you can get away with it, like, I'm going to school. But then when they get to secondary school, and I've got two daughters who are at high school, we're here in Scotland, and and they show you their timetable, and they're like, and you're thinking, oh man, that sucks. But I don't really want to do that. And then as a parent, we've got to try and like get them excited to get them out the door when they don't want to go, because obviously they're not really wanting to do the lessons that they've got. I feel like it is hard, isn't it? Because the school's battling against that. The child is obviously battling against, don't really want to do that. So having some, mentors like you described in the school environment that just helps them channel through this, and obviously, giving them the opportunities, like you said, be it if it's sports or breakfast clubs or lunch, like whatever it is, just to keep them engaged, I think is just so important in the world that we're in now.
Yeah, it is. And I think I've got two daughters who are 13 and 15. And I feel sorry for them, generally because I know all their teachers. Because I work in schools and generally some of the events I do. And I think actually for me, because I know how schools work, it's probably easy for me to understand what the teachers are trying to do and what happened. So I can sort of have that conversation with with my girls. I think for other people it is harder. My youngest, her first day at secondary school, I used to work with the head. So all of a sudden he's come out and we've had a conversation. So her first day in year 7, she was completely embarrassed because their dad's talking to a head teacher. And my eldest, the CEO who looks after their trust, I've known for many years, and I work with them as well. So, I think hopefully my girls have learned just how to get on with it now. But again, I'm still there going, I'm still your dad. If there's problems at school, we need to deal with it. And I think as well, with the growing needs that are going on in schools now around special educational needs, and obviously I've done the work I do with SEN children for now 8 years, so I've seen a lot. But also for me, it's about trying to see how we can work with those children in a different way, because their needs are different. And the amount of children that are now are now becoming on the register because they're being, I suppose, diagnosed with autism or the ADHD, whatever it may be. So there's a different way that we now have to work with those children. But I love it because all my worlds collide and connect. Because actually the work I do with Penathlon, with the events that we run, actually schools can come to them and see the activities we do, and they can then install them in school. So the amount of teachers now come and go, oh, I love that activity, or I love that one. Okay, well they're all adaptable. So whether you've got a child in a wheelchair, whether you've got a visually impaired child, whether you've got an autistic child, it actually doesn't matter, because everything will be adapted for them. So I love being able to stand back and look at how the worlds collide. Because actually that way we know we're making that impact. And as I say, I adore getting up and I adore going to work, because it doesn't feel like work.
And that's a good place to be. And obviously that takes us nicely, because you are one of our judges for the Class Business Awards, and you will have been reading all the applications. And one of the questions we ask them is around impact. And so you've probably been seeing the impact that they're having. So talk us through that process of you reading everything and seeing what's actually going on out.
For me, I've been a judge in different awards. I just love seeing the impact things have, and all I'd, and having gone into awards myself and sort of applied for awards and other things. Actually, I love seeing the stories around everything that happens, whether it's a startup business that's been going 6 months to a year. Actually, the impact they've had can sometimes be bigger than an organisation that's been going 20 years. But I think it's and actually impact is so different for every person, but also it will probably be different for every judge.
Oh yes, yeah.
So actually, from my point of view, I love reading them. I think the hardest bit for anyone when you're entering awards is actually making sure you answer the question.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest there. So, and the thing is as well, when you're looking at things, you're then obviously comparing, and obviously I score as I'm going, and then I'll look over it and then have another look at back and make sure we're on the same lines. And I think it's really important then to look at, because obviously for your awards, obviously there's 4 questions that cover 10%, and then 30% as well. And I just think actually we really need to look at those 30% bits and actually almost, and again, answer the question. Sometimes just answer the question that you're doing. It makes me proud to see the amount of people that enter, but also proud to see the impact that happens. And actually and how, longevity of things, the longevity of organisations. For me, generally, it's a story why they set up. Knowing my journey, and I only set my business up because I got told to. It's really simple. I was told by a trust that they want me to go and do some work for them, but I need to be self-employed.
Right.
So I set myself up self-employed 8 years ago. And actually that was the start of the journey. But actually the journey then develops as you're going. But yeah, I love the stories about why, the amount of people that fall on struggles and then go, well, actually, we can do this on our own. And I think for me, that's a bit where you go, because it's not easy. We all know it's not easy running your own business. There are lots of hours where you're not sure whether you're coming or going. There's not sure, there's a lot of those times where you're going over and over the figures, but now there's things out there to help you. There are places out there to help you. There's things out there to help you. But I just love the fact that we can look at all these applications. And for me, these are privileges. To be able to judge is a privilege. Everything I do is a privilege, because actually I just feel grateful that I get given these opportunities to have an input or help a child's life or maybe do a talk that impacts one person while they're listening to it. So I'd never take any of these things for granted. So it's down to me to put the time in.
Well, we're very grateful for you for being a judge for us. And if people want to come and connect with you to learn about more of the work that you're doing, where's the best place? Where do you hang out?
Probably the best place is LinkedIn. So if you just go on to Dominic Fenton on LinkedIn, I've probably got accounts on most social networks. So I'm on X, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, but generally professional wise, it's generally LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Well, and plus, if you're on the road all the time, it's probably easier to just
it has its moments.
In one place. Well, it's been amazing to talk to you today about your journey and the work that you're doing in schools and the mentors and everything else. It is having a massive impact, and I'm sure my audience will be inspired by this because they love learning from others. So thank you so much for taking the time to be a judge for us. And I'm excited to meet you on the 10th of October down in Birmingham. And just literally, thank you for giving up your time to judge everybody else's applications, because I know I've been a judge as well. I know how much effort goes into doing that work. But I do also know that my audience and the people that have entered are very appreciative of all that, and they understand it as well. So thank you so much, Dominic, for being part of the podcast today and the Class Business Awards.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's been, as I say, it's a privilege to do it. Good luck to everyone in the awards as well. and we'll see you on the 10th.